How much health is too much health? This is what we are always hearing from Inaros. We all know what this Warframe is capable of. Warframe players always go for the health builds instead of making a mod setup that makes his abilities useful in real missions. We can't blame those players who are doing this, since Inaros' abilities really need a rework, and his strongest attribute right now is the insane amount of health values he can gain. So, how much health should you have in your Inaros? For fun builds, then you can go crazy and equip all health modes on the Warframe. You can even ask friends to boost your health values, like having Wisprime give you the health mult, but we also have the Archon Shard system right now, which can boost Inaros' health, and of course, there's other stuff like Arcane Blessing that can give more health. It's all about being healthy with Inaros, but like I've asked at the very beginning, how much health is too much health for this Warframe? Like I always say, having 10,000 or beyond health values would just be a waste if you don't have damage reduction and a way to regenerate that large amount of health. That amount of health values will just melt in seconds. Also, you might have some good laugh with a fun health build for days, but that's all about it, and you can't help but think later, wishing that the Warframe can have a better skill set in the future. Right now, instead of just focusing on health, I prefer to add damage reduction for insane survivability with Inaros, plus a couple of setup which makes the Warframe an absolute unit in killing enemies fast. I have two builds that I currently use on my Inaros. The first one is Sata's Whisper setup, which doesn't just boost his offense, but also his survivability. I know it's kind of weird, since you all know that Sata's Whisper is all about getting easy headshots, boosting your void damage and applying extra hit per damage, and this kind of setup is one of those builds that you think are sub-optimal but actually works great in real mission. With Sata's Whisper, I can constantly get the armor bonus from Mecha Pulse, which is primarily the one that's boosting our damage reduction. In my case, I can get as much as 91% damage reduction from the Mecha Pulse armor buff alone with these umbral modes in my Inaros. If you are curious, then that's about 1200% armor buff from Mecha Pulse, and you can get this amount by killing a marked target with at least 20 enemies around the target. Of course, this kind of feat can only be achievable in Steel Path levels, and I know it kind of suck, but that's the reality that I want to show you about the current state of Inaros right now. Which is why I also have a rework suggestion later, but before that, let me share to you another build that you can use for your Sand King. By the way, in my opinion, Sata's Whisper build is best used with Incarnon weapons, or any hard-hitting weapons in the game, preferably those with area of effect. Right now I'm loving the combination of this with a Strun Prime Incarnon, and best that you try it for yourself. Now, the second one is a melee-oriented Inaros build. The idea about this build is to use a hybrid melee that is built for fast attacks, while using the healing return mode to regenerate health. But why no other armor buffs? It's because we will be relying on the Mecha mode set to process the armor buff from Mecha Pulse. Most of the time you will gain about 900 to 1200 armor percentage bonus with a good hybrid close combat weapon. And sometimes it can go over 2000% bonus armor, depending on how much enemies are within the area after you have killed an enemy marked by your companion. So what dog are you using? It's the Sunika Kubra, which more like an attack dog, and compared to other dog companions, this one does mark targets quite often. The good thing also about a melee Inaros is that the dog has insane survivability. You gain crazy amount of health from Inaros with the Link health mode, and then you also gain armor from the Warframe, and as well as boost it up with a mecha set. And then, every melee strike you deal will heal your dog when you have the pack leader mod in your companion. Keeping your companion alive is quite easy with this Inaros setup, and in return your dog will keep marking targets and allowing you to gain armor buff from Mecha Pulse. Also, if you are using a good hybrid fast attack melee with slash-based damage, then you can take advantage of the area of effect bleed damage from the Mecha mod set. Once you kill a marked target with slash, it will get spread into the crowd within 30 meters. I know Mecha Inaros is limited, as it locks you into playing with a companion, and we all know that Warframe is now divided into two parts. The Warframe experience, which is the usual gameplay of diving into different missions within the star chart, and then there's the duviri experience wherein you do a mission with complete randomizer and no pets allowed. Within duviri, all you rely is in your health and the decrees increasing your damage and overall survivability, with heals and damage reduction coming from armor bonuses. Well, it's hard to swallow, but this is the whole truth about the mod setup I have shown you in this video, and I think the Warframe truly deserves a rework to be better. Last year, there was a post in the official Warframe forums about a concept for a possible Inaros rework. If you want to read the whole forum post, then feel free to jump into the link I've included at the video description below. But before you do that, I would share a few ideas that I have for an Inaros rework that was inspired by the Inaros rework concept. There are a few ideas I like about the Inaros concept rework. First is that the usage of his insane health values to give boost or cast his active abilities. I think this is a great idea, as if this is implemented, then there would be a reason for us to actually build for health. In addition, it would be good to see Inaros as the first Warframe to truly harness the ability to sacrifice health in order to cast abilities. Just like Hildren, but for this Warframe, he uses his health to cast his abilities. Also, get rid of the coffin passive, as it's hilarious. Instead of that, why not make something like ZEPHYR'S, wherein you give the Warframe a surefire mechanic to revive himself and not a coffin who drains life and pray that enemies would die. The life-draining mechanic should stay, but it should be as powerful as ZEPHYR'S revive passive mechanic. In terms of his active ability, I would replace his second and fourth ability into something synergetic. I would name the second ability as Pharaoh's Curse. Enemies that are affected will have a damage vulnerability debuff, and every time Inaros kills a cursed target, they will turn into a sand shadow. And then, the Devour ability will be his third ability, which is now a buff skill. Every time you cast Devour, you will consume a sand shadow which will heal Inaros in the process and give him a damage and damage reduction buff. And lastly, make his tornado as his ultimate skill that will suck enemies at the eye of the tornado instead of ragdolling enemies into different places in the map. This is just a simple rework concept of mine that was inspired by the forum post, and I think, with this, Inaros will truly be king of the desert. But right now I'm sticking with the Nourish and Exarter's Whisper builds I have on my Sand King. So I hope that you enjoyed spending your time watching this video. If you think my Inaros rework concept is good enough, then sharing this video will somehow help reach those people who are involved in making Warframe reworks. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all, and I will see you in my next video.